So section 5 is all about the black keys. Now we have just been counting up in half steps and whole steps. So we have looked at the black keys, but now we're going to learn how they're all labelled, if you like. What do we call them all? So these are all sharps and flats. Let's take a look. So we've learned the 7 notes on the piano, A, B, C, D, E, F and G. And these 7 notes happen to be on the white keys. And these notes are repeated all the way up the piano. So we know the higher we play a note, the higher pitched the sound, and the lower we play a note, the lower pitched the sound. But actually, all of these 7 notes can be sharpened and flattened. And all that means is if we sharpen a note, we're just raising the pitch ever so slightly. And if we flatten a note, we're lowering the pitch ever so slightly. To sharpen any of the notes, you have to go up by a half step. And to flatten any of the notes, you go down by a half step. So we should be able to find a sharp and a flat from any note. Let's try it from the G. This is a G as we know it. If you want to sharpen the G, you have to go up by a half step. So it would be this black note next to it. If we go back to the G, if I asked you to flatten this G, you would have to go down a half step. So you would go down to this black note. And this is a G flat. But of course that does mean that these black notes can be both sharps and flats, because this is a G flat, but it's also an F sharp. So if we're on this F, you sharpen it by going up a half note. So that is F sharp. But it's also G flat, because if we're on the G and you flatten the G, you have to go down a half step. So it would also be G flat. Now the software I use will just pick one to show you. So in this case, it's picked the F sharp to put underneath, but this is an F sharp as well as a G flat. So what happens when you come to a note that doesn't have a flat either side of it? Well, the same rules apply. So if you're on an F, and I ask you to sharpen it, you have to go up a half step. So you would go up to F sharp, and this black note is F sharp. But if we want to flatten this F, we have to go down a half step. So we go down a half step to this E. So this E is also an F flat. Same for this C. So if we press on the C, middle C, if I ask you to play me a C sharp, of course you go up a half step. Back to the C. If I ask you to play me a C flat, down a half step to B flat, to C flat, which would be a B. From the D, it's a bit more easy because they're both black notes. So D sharp, it's up a half step. D flat is down a half step. So that's D flat. And of course that is also C sharp. So there's quite a lot of information there, and when you first start learning the piano it can be quite daunting. So this is what your exercises are for. So do try and follow the practice plan, do your exercises every day, and even if you're speeding through the whole course, please do go back to your daily exercises and do them. This will really help you retain all of this information, which is only going to make you a better player in the long run. In the next section, section 6, it's actually my favourite section. I'm teaching you the big small technique. This is the best thing in the world to be able to learn. It teaches you how to build any major or minor chord from any note on the piano. I can't wait to get stuck in. I'll see you there.